Hi, how have you been? It's been another Friday, and we're here to have another conversation. I am so tired. This week has been a lot of roller coaster of emotions for me, and it hasn't been all great, but I mean, God is good, isn't He? Today, I usually prep from Wednesday, just go over my notes and record and listen to it to see if I'll make changes and do all of that, or just leave it like that, or if like everything I've done encapsulates what I really want to put out there. And I didn't record this episode till deep into the night because I couldn't even write what I wanted to write. My mind was in all sorts of places. Today I saw someone lose their life in a movie called Seven on Netflix. You should check it out. I think it's a cool movie, and they lost their dad, right? And they had an up and down kind of relationship with their dad, and then he died, and the guy broke down, and gosh, I wept. Like, I sobbed, because I can tell you that I had, I was the one coming from, my dad went through a lot of things that when I look back at, I think was mental health related, because he was in 2 accidents, very bad accidents, and I didn't see him go through any form of PSCD counseling. And when I look at my own experiences, I think he had a lot of trauma from, he was run over by an armored truck in Lebanon. I mean, that's a story for another day, on peacekeeping duties. And then when I was in class 3, he was also run over by a truck. I thought he was going to die. My dad was in the hospital I hadn't seen him for 6 months. I'm getting a bit emotional. And he couldn't communicate. He couldn't do much. And my parents left. They came to 37 because he was an army officer, and we were in school, so we lived with our mother's friend for 6 months. And I remember my dad came. I have never seen my dad with a beard in my entire life, but he came home with a beard because he wasn't allowed to shave because of his head injuries. And he acted up a lot of times, and I will get into it with him because I was the oldest then at home. And so, it was almost as if we were always butting heads. But the one thing that I can tell you is, no matter how much we fought at home, if you ever dared, as in dared, to even lay a tiny weeny bit of my hair, he would kill you. I have no doubt about it. So when the guy broke down in the movie, I don't know where the tears came from. All the grief came back. I couldn't function. I couldn't get myself out of that space. It was really difficult for me, and grief is just complicated. We don't talk a lot about it, and when people are grieving, we try to hurry them through the process as though, hurrying them through the process will make them forget or will not make them grieve. But I did come here to talk about grief today, but it's something that has deeply affected me today, so I needed to talk about it. I've had my bath running. I couldn't even take a shower. I was just motionless, and tears were just falling out of my eyes. In all of this, I'm trying to still be a mother. I mean, it's crazy, but Anyways, I'm here. I'm recording the episode, and today I just want to talk about, funny enough, one of my listeners, I shout out to you, hey Alberta, she sent me a message about if I had an episode about how abuse affected children. I think I have a couple of episodes up there, and I just wanted to talk today about the episode talked about how it affects them in the sense of the PSCD that they get. But today I just want to talk about what really happens when kids are exposed to domestic violence, because this whole thing of stay for the children is extremely damaging. That's why the cycle has perpetuated and gone on and on and on and on, and it isn't stopping, because the children deal with the trauma. Any child who's growing up in a home where there's abuse is being abused also. They are also victims of the domestic abuse. They are also being abused as children, so there's child abuse, and they have to navigate their own way, going to school, friendships, maybe a little bit of bullying here and there, trying to find their own voice in all of that. So it becomes difficult for them to handle. That's why a lot of them rebel sometimes if there's no love, or they act up, So it's not an ABC kind of thing. It's not children don't see. They see, they hear, they feel, they understand that atmosphere isn't right. The only thing they don't have is the power to act. That's the only thing they don't have, So a lot of the time, I typically try to speak about abuse in terms of male and female, because some males also go through abuse. However, the ratio is, the ratio. I've spoken about it countless times. And so I will use Mother's Day as an example vis-a-vis Father's Day. You realize that a lot of children gravitate towards doing things for their mother because they see the sacrifices, they see the pain, they see the tears, they feel the tension in them, they see the efforts and everything. And so if you're a father and you're doing the best for your kids, shout out to you. That's how it should be, hand in hand with your wife, raising your child and ensuring that sometimes it's not about even money, it's just about the values, the principles, and the atmosphere that's created in the home to make sure that they excel and do well. So children, even the younger ones, are fully aware of what is happening in the home. So even if you try to shield them from what's happening, the violence, and when I say violence, if you've not listened to me before, violence isn't just about hitting or slapping or anything. Violence, comes in the form of words, in the form of insults, and so many other things, punching holes and all of that. So let's make that clear. A lot of the time when we say violence, a lot of people quickly think about the physical. They don't think about the other types of abuse. So you can acquaint yourself with the podcast, go down, listen, and give me feedback. So there's this natural tendency to minimize the fact that children are affected by domestic violence because they are children. I always say that a child is a human being. They get hit, they get angry, they get sad, they cry, they feel tense, they feel all they get hungry, they feel all the emotions that we feel. So how then can you say that when there's a situation at home that is causing a lot of tension, the children can't feel it? They do. However, they can't question their parents in that regard because of the complexities of abuse and how it's happening. So they don't have anything to say. They don't have a voice in all of this. So they are more aware than we as adults usually think they are. We think that, we assume that they don't see what's going on. They see. However, having a full understanding of the situation is different from knowing what's happening. Even for some adults, they can see what's happening, but fully understanding the effects of abuse and all that is going on around them is they become oblivious. So usually your first consideration should be safety for yourself, safety for your children, in terms of if you're leaving, if you have an escape plan noted, if you have safety in mind. So usually I will say leave, because not leaving doesn't provide a place of stability. I will say this again and again and again. A 2-parent household is not with strife. A 2-parent household with strife and abuse is not the ideal environment for children to be raised in. So the people who come and stay for the sake of the children, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. You're clueless. You're very, very, very clueless. Let's be frank. You're clueless, and these pieces of advice have sent people back to their death, be it by physical means, by health means, or just being emotionally worried and pain. Look, when you look in the Bible says that people get worried through pain and misery. Do you understand that you can live with someone and they will cause you so much pain and misery and heartache that you just give up and people die? It happens. Just because it's undocumented, just because people are not talking about it, doesn't mean that it's not happening. And you will all attest that when something is happening to you and the pain, it shows in your body in so much ways. So imagine someone going through this, with somebody that has chosen them as their partner, their life partner, but however has broken the trust of being a safe space for that person. Last week I spoke about trust not only being about infidelity in the sense of sex or having extramarital affairs. Trust in so many things. Listen to my episode on I think intimacy, and you should realize that when you do that, you put your partner, your children, and everybody that you claim to love in a very tense situation. So what you should do as a parent is consider the safety of the children. Safety in totality, not just about they being hit or you being hit or anything. Safety in totality of peace of mind, a regulated environment where they don't have to guess what's going to happen if something happens. So they are also walking on eggshells because they are affected by the situation. Just like your partner is walking on eggshells, the children are also walking on eggshells because they see the cycle. They don't know when the next explosion is going to come. Do they running to save you? Do they running to come and sit by you so they prevent you from being insulted or hit or shouted at or pushed around or shoved around? So it's very, very, very important that you have your safety plan. And if you tell your children that when there's fighting you don't feel safe, so you want to leave that safe space, they will understand. Have this conversation with your children. They know more than you think they know. Leaving them in the dark creates a lot more confusion in their minds, and so they become more disturbed than they ought to be. So stability is key. Try to stick to your daily routines and bedtimes as much as possible for the very young ones. The unpredictability of everything is what makes them tense and cry a lot and scream around and throw tantrums and all of that. So if they feel that they know what's happening next, then they can adjust. So as a parent, when the abuse is happening, have safety in mind, have predictability in mind, have stability in mind, stick to daily routines, ensure that they know what's coming next so they can have some peace of mind. Even you as an adult, when you can't predict the cycles and you don't know what's coming next, when it happens, it completely destabilizes you. How much more the younger children? So think about your safety plan, and then trust me, I know having a conversation with your children about abuse is not easy. It's not comfortable because the person that they also love is the one perpetrating the abuse. So don't let bitterness be the leading voice. You've got to speak in clear, precise tones and confront the issue as it is. This is what happens. This is what love is. This is not the right thing at the moment. There's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of tension. It's making me uncomfortable. Does it make you uncomfortable? How do you feel about it? They will open up to you and say, well, it makes me uncomfortable. Or sometimes they'll say they don't know because they feel like admitting it means they are trying to put the guilt on their parent who's perpetrating the abuse. So be very open about it. So it's difficult. So a lot of the times, most people in abusive situations avoid having conversations with their children about what is happening. But the elephant in the room, the ostrich with his head in the sand situation, is right there in the room with you. But we're not going to talk about it. Nope. We're going to be quiet. It's unhealthy for you and the children. Extremely unhealthy. So it's very important that you talk about it. And if you don't talk about it, behavioral issues will occur because they are trying to express themselves without having the opportunity or know-how in terms of doing so verbally. So they act out via tantrums, like I said, defiance, aggressive behavior. That's when you'll be called to the school so many times because what is happening. Even when you even have the conversation with them and they see the abuse occurring 1, 2, 3, 4 times, they get tense and they lose a lot of track of themselves. So establish an open communication and be available to listen and answer questions. And the best way to help your children to deal with it by going about it is discuss it, take the lead. Don't wait for the children to come to you because they are likely scared, uncomfortable to bring up the topic because it involves two people that they care about, So are they going to side with one person over the other? Are they going to have to be forced to make a choice? No. So explain to them that this is not a normal situation. This is what is happening and it's making you uncomfortable. It's unsafe and you don't want to be in this situation anymore. So if it gets so unsafe that you need to leave, you need them to know that it's not their fault, because a lot of the times children tend to carry a lot of the guilt because they don't know what's going on, they don't understand. But take the lead, be a parent, have the conversation, let them know that it's none of their fault. So let them know that I care about you, I will listen to you, let me know what's going on, have a conversation, and then ask them questions to find out what they know, what they saw, what they've seen, what they've heard. You would be surprised and what they understand by it, and then acknowledge their feelings on their versions of events, which may not actually line up with what happened because they might not understand what's going on, so, and let them know it's not their fault. Like, I can't reiterate this enough. It isn't their fault. Let them fully understand that it is not their fault because they carry the shame, they carry the guilt. Any form of PSC, TD or CPSTD, that's post-stress traumatic disorder, or complex post-stress traumatic disorder, that you as an adult have, the children will have it too. And it will manifest in different forms because of the different age groupings and your perception, your understanding, and their perception about it. So trust me, it's happening. Let them understand that violence is not okay. Violence in any form, be it verbal, be it physical, be it emotional, be it, harming other things or pets or threatening to, it is not okay. Because even though you are in the situation and they know it's not okay, that's the more reason why you have to have a safety plan to leave. Because if it's not okay, why are you still there? So be calm. When it comes to your children, be calm. Don't transfer your anxiety to them because they can sense it. So try as much as possible to be calm, to have a conversation with them. If they are not comfortable with something, answer them right away. It's important. And if you can't answer, let them know that it's a question that you need to think about. So you go and think about it and come back with an answer. But by all means, please go back with the answer. It's very, very important. And don't rely on others, any burden on them, like for emotional support or whatever. They are dealing with stress of their own. So try as much as possible to create a safe space for them so that you don't rely on them. Rely on the people who are there for you, the adults who understand your situation and are holding your hand to get you back on your feet. Rely on those adults. But your children are not your saving grace from this situation. And it's okay to ask for help. If you think that you can't have a conversation with your children, there are child therapists all over the place. There are online support groups that help you with how to parent during this situation. Look for information. Look for information and try as much as possible to ensure that they have the best form of support. So if what happens is CDC did a research, Center for Disease Control in the UK, and they said in the US, an estimated 15.5 million children in the US live in a household where partner violence has occurred at least one. Like 15.5 million children. Like, do you understand that statistic? It's huge. And the report says it can lead to risky health behaviors, chronic health conditions, and a shorter life expectancy. So for the sake of the children, do your research. Do your research, because for the sake of the children is the last thing you should be saying in a situation of abuse, because it does not augur well for the children. It is a toxic environment. It affects them emotionally, mentally, physically, socially, educationally. It affects every facet of their lives. So if you don't take it, that is a fallacy. So someone who's a widow cannot raise children well. The only reason children will rebel, will not do well, is if they are not raised in love, right? Raise them in love. Raise them with values. Raise them in such a way that you give them a voice, you stand up for them, and you shore it up with the word of God and pray. Like I said, that prayer, it works. Whilst you're praying, you're taking the actions that will bring you the results that you need or require. So it's important to bond with them and experience caring and compassionate relationships. Putting your children in a domestic violence situation is not caring and being compassionate. It's selfish on your part as an adult, because you are thinking more in terms of what will people say, and how you provide for them. That's why you have to save as part of your safety plan, because most abusers, when they realize that you're leaving and you're adamant on not coming back, check all form of financial responsibility, because it's a means to control you. They are hoping that you will crash and burn so you can come calling back, so they will be the savior again and say that, oh, look at me, she's come back. What did I tell you? That I am good to her. It's just a waiting game, literally, for abusers. They really don't care how you're managing or how you're managing to survive financially, with raising the children and everything. They don't care. And they don't care, and they show their hand by the actions that they take. So that's what it is. So, as checking regularly with the children, let them have conversations with you, let them know what's going on, let them know that you're there for them, know their friends, understand their situations. Sometimes as adults we tend to take the lead, but sometimes let the children lead. Let them vent out their frustration and their anger, because they are also frustrated and angry about the situation. Let them vent out. And like I said, therapy works. Get a therapist, please, and be with them. Be there for them. Do activities together. Sometimes you, as a parent who's going through the abuse, you have a lot on your mind and plate, so it becomes a bit difficult. But try. Listen. Listening is very important. Be honest in your reportage of events and what's happening. Don't embellish it. Be honest in what's happening between you and your spouse. Don't embellish it. Don't make promises you can't keep, because it is also a safety mechanism. When you do that, they feel unsafe. Reduce their stress and build coping skills. So ask them what they do that makes them feel better. Ask them what they would like to do in this situation. Engage them. They are little humans. They, like I said, they have all the emotions and feels that adults have. Maybe they are now learning to express it better, but they do. So please engage them. Don't shield them from the truth. Help children manage their emotions. Encourage friendships. Everybody needs a tribe. God made us in tribes. So there's this, like, I'm reading on social media and everybody is talking about, oh, you don't need nobody. Who told you people that? You need people. Nurture the friendships. That's why it's important that you have an eye on their friendships and you're able to pick out the good ones and the bad ones, so that you nurture the relationships that are good for them. So encourage friendships and be their role model. Look, show them how you deal with stress. There are days that you will fail, but for the most part, it's the consistency in how you deal with it that will come through for them, because they will blame themselves. They will carry the shame and the guilt. They will carry the anxiety. They will carry the depression. They will carry the trauma. However, as you are healing, ensure that healing also spreads to them, so that you heal together and you don't let them carry over that load into adulthood. This is very important that you do that for them, and try as much as possible to build calm, stable environments. Your body will be scanning for threats if you've lived in a very high conflict space, and the body remembers. So give them spaces of their own so they can also thrive and be in their own element. It's very, very important. Respect them and have conversations with them. So seek out community resources if you can. Child advocacy groups can help you, get. If you need any resources, please holla, talk to me. I got you. And then take care of yourself. take care of yourself. Be sure to get enough sleep. Be sure to get good food. Try and work out. It is hard, especially when the anxiety, the depression, the trauma, the sleepless nights, and everything is coming through. But sometimes it overcomes you and you just lay down and sleep. But there are days where you have good days. So it's about consistency. Like I said, you might get 21 days out of 30. You might get 20 out of 30 days. You might get 15 out of 30 days. But you're doing something. So try and try and try up until the body, the mind all wire back into the person that you were before the abuse occurred. And then you begin to thrive daily and go again. Abuse changes you. Let nobody lie to you. But what happens is after you're going through the process of healing, you start picking up your old self again, and then you go through it. So let nobody, tell you that it doesn't work. Take care of yourself. And all hope is not lost. The brain is constantly developing. And so don't give up. Keep on pushing. Support the kids. That's why you need to reform their brain to have a sense of safety, safety and calm and not a lot of pressure. And, just let them know that you can't just get over childhood adversity. It doesn't work like that. So a lot of the time, people say stay for the kids. By the time you stay for the kids and you don't address the situation, you've worsened it and you've created another cycle and another monster. So don't, buy into that philosophy. It's the wrong philosophy that people have said. And the thing is, 90% of parents who are currently experiencing domestic abuse within their relationship believe children don't know anything. But the fact is, 90% of those children are aware. So you think they don't know, but they know. What are you doing to them? Think on it. What are you doing to them? And to the people who come with the stay for the kids' sake, please, you are causing more harm than good. You are damaging the children. Why I advocate for victims to heal and become survivors is that when they heal generations after them. They take the pain and they carry it, and it takes courage. It takes courage for a victim to stand up and say, I am done. I have had enough. It takes a lot of courage. And a lot of women don't have that courage to walk away. So they make all manner of excuses. Oh, how will I pay their fees? Where will I stay? People will say I left. They are saying I'm the bad person. Whatever. It takes a lot of courage. That's why you never ask why why didn't you leave question. Because it's not as simple as it looks. Even though we will love for all victims to be able to take their things and say, I'm done, I'm leaving. It doesn't always work like that. That's why we need your support. We need all of us to listen, advocate, speak up. We all are in touch with the abusers. We know the abusers. They are in our communities. They are in our churches. They are in our families. They are in our workplaces. They are in our social groupings. We speak to them. We encounter them all the time. We just get surprised that it's them. Oh, are you sure? And that kind of thing. And then they come and spin a story. People believe them. They throw dirt on the name of the victim. They do all kinds of things, and then that's it. Nobody calls them to order. Nobody questions their behavior when they are dropping the ball. Nothing. And they just feel like whatever, on to the next victim. It's just what happens. But you are putting them through adversity, and it's difficult. Adversity faced in childhood is very different than adversity faced in adults because of a child's underdeveloped brain and nervous system. So when the experience of trauma and adversity at home as a child can wire a developing brain, and then they might have learning difficulties, they might have emotional difficulties, they might even have physical difficulties. So it's not as simple as it looks. Neither is it as simple as it sounds, like stay for the kids or consider the kids. If you are considering the kids, then you should be walking out. So let's not use words and toxic positivity to create monsters. It's wrong, please. And when you suffer as a child, you really understand what suffering is, because you are helpless. What can you do? You don't have money, you don't have power, so you are helpless. So if obstacles that we face in childhood, sometimes we can't even overcome them because we don't have any tools to overcome them. But as a child, you can. So children bear the shame, they bear the guilt, they bear the anxiety, they bear the trauma of an abusive environment. Anything that a parent is going through, be it male or female, within a domestic abuse environment, the children feel it, they sense it, they hear it, they live with anxiety, they live with the stress, they live with the trauma. So when you are making the choice, you are making it for you and your children, for the generations yet unborn after you, so the cycle doesn't continue again. It takes courage to be a generation healer. It takes courage to be a cycle breaker. It takes courage to pick up your stuff and say that I can't do this anymore because it's going to kill me eventually. A lot of the time we've been made to feel like we should be self-sacrificing, but it doesn't work like that. So children feel it too. Let nobody kid you. Let nobody tell you that they are oblivious. They are not. And it is your responsibility to protect them. It is our responsibility to protect them. So when there are children involved, please don't say stay for the sake of the children. It should be leave for the sake of the children. This is quite emotional for me, so I think I've said a lot of things that we should be able to digest in this episode, but leave for the sake of the children. Until same time next week, share, star, pass on the message, listen again, talk to someone, help someone when they come to you. We are each other. We are each other's keepers. And until we stand up for victims, like I said, abuse thrives in silence. Silence is not speaking up. Silence is not questioning not believing the victim. Silence is saying stay for the sake of the children. Silence is being a flying monkey for the abuser. Silence is not encouraging the abuser to even take responsibility for what they have to do. Silence is ignoring the survivor because now you side with the abuser. Silence is not just about speaking up. Silence is about so many things. Don't be silent. Be an advocate. And please leave for the sake of the children. Until same time next week, I love you. Thank you for the support. I mean, when I check the countries that you're listening to the podcast from, I'm like, who is in Peru? Who is in Bolivia? Who I don't know anybody from these places. The other places, over 36 countries listening in, and it's amazing. It's amazing. Sometimes I get a message and it makes me feel like I'm doing something. I value the feedback. I value the messages. I value the prayers. I value I haven't heard you talk about this. If there's anything that you want me to talk about, please drop me a message. Send an email. send me WhatsApp. Those of you who listen to me who have access to me directly via my phone, let's talk about it, because the more we talk about it, the more perpetrators realize that, okay, they are figuring us out. So we might not be able to make everybody leave, or we might not be able to save everyone, but we might be able to save a lot of people, because saving one person saves a lot of people. As always, it's been me, Emmy, Thinkable Taurus. Mommy, whichever name you know me by, I am one and same, and I love you. Thank you. Have an amazing week, and do remember to say a prayer for me always. I love you. Bye.